Hi everyone, it's April with Hair 101 and today I'm so excited because we are going to transform her from a cute little blonde to a cute little silver, I guess. Is that really a name? But we're going to do a silver ombre and this is going to be gorgeous on her. She has a really light natural hair color already, so we don't have to lighten it up a ton more. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through with some Firmisi D-Color Cream. You can see down here on the ends. We want it to be really vibrant and bright on the ends, especially since we're going to start down here with a 6T, 6N mixture of the shades EQ. We're going to fade it down into a 9T and 9B. And then the ends we're going to have with a crystal clear with just a little bit of the 9T and the shades EQ on the ends. So in order for that to pick up on the ends, we really need to brighten this up because you can see it's mostly her natural mixed in with a little bit of artificial color also down in here, and it's a little bit darker than we need it. So I'm going to go through with a balayage technique and just brighten up where I want the really light pieces to be, and then we'll move on from there. And the products we're using are going to be a 9T with the crystal clear for the lightest part of the color, and this 9B and 9T will be the mid color, and the 6T and the 6N will be the root color. And then we have to go through and lighten up the hair a little bit on the ends first because they're still a little bit darker than they need to be. So we're going to use the Firmisi D-Color Cream and a 20 volume developer. And these products are just going to help me out with application. So when I put the toner on, I always use this little squirt bottle. And then for styling, we're going to be using the Pillow Proof Blow Dry Primer, Moroccan Oil. I'm not using this. Sorry, that's not in there. So we're using the Pillow Proof Moroccan Oil, the Big Sexy Root Pump, and the Spray and Play Big Sexy Hairspray. So we're just applying it in a V shape. And I usually do one or two in the middle. A little bit lower. And I'm using these awesome bleach safe towels that Blue Sun Beauty sent me, so thank you. These are great. I don't have to worry about ruining them, making them look ugly. All right, we're gonna do the same thing on this section. And I love doing this balayage technique because it's so fun. It's artistic. You get to just play and place the color where you want it. And it's really quick too.
I usually go at least 2 days just because I get super dry skin if I wash my
hair. Yeah, you're not supposed to wash your hair every day.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, so you can see we have these really pale light pieces in here that were weaved. I'm going to take those out of this because I don't want to have any breakage. We don't need to lighten those anymore. So we're just gonna grab the darker pieces and do some highlighting on that. So now that I'm getting a little bit closer to the top, I'm trying to feather it up just a little bit in here to try to get it a little bit blonder at the roots. Doing this more like a whole highlight on this chunk. But just kind of softly blending it instead of going right to the roots. All of this is still pretty light, so I pulled that out. We're done. And so, yeah, up here I did pull it a little bit closer and feather it to the roots, but then I only pulled out the dark pieces and I left out her light pieces with the roots on there already, so she'll have a little bit more depth naturally in the roots and then like lighter ends through the top. The back of it, I did the kind of the same thing. If there was already really light pieces that were already to that pale yellow, I left them out and then just darkened up the ends. So now I'm just watching it to process, and as soon as all of the ends are a pale yellow, I will rinse it out. And I'm also making sure I go through and check the elasticity just to make sure she has strong hair still, and it's very healthy still, very strong. So I'm not worried at all about breakage right here. So we're just gonna let it go until these little packets show pale yellow, and then she'll be ready to rinse, and then we'll start with the fun silver ombre color. All right, so that was really quick. I think we only had to let it process like 10-15 minutes after we finished, and it looks really bright now. So I'm happy with that. We're just gonna pull it all out. So for the root formula for the ombre, we are wanting it like a dark charcoaly silver. So I'm using the 6T in Shades EQ, it's iron. And I'm using 1.5 ounces. And then I'm gonna put 1/2 ounce of the 6N Moroccan sand. And I'm doing that just to make it have a little bit more depth and not be quite as silvery. I want it to be a little bit more, I don't know, I want to have a little bit of a base in there. So we're going to do that with 2 ounces of the processing solution. Okay. So I'm going to take my Zone 1 formula and we're going to stick this on her roots. Okay, you guys, I'm going to make sure that I'm only doing the first couple inches in here. I want it just on this Zone 1 in here. And I'm going to blur the line and make sure it's really soft so that when we go into the 9T, 9B, that it's not like a really harsh line. And I'm only going to be doing the Zone 1 right now, and then we'll process for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to wash her and dry her again. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to be able to blend them better, and if you do them all at the same time, then this one's been sitting on the hair for 40 minutes, and this one's only been sitting on the hair for 20 minutes. And I'm going to make sure I only process for 20 minutes each zone. So I'm going to do this zone, then the last one, and then at the very end, I'll just go through and put the 9T with the crystal clear on the very ends. So we're going to start at the bottom in the back. And it's easier, I'm even going to just take her hair where it naturally parts, and she has a deep side part. And then I'm just going to T-part this to keep it more organized. And by the way, this balayage turned out really pretty. You can see in here, she has some soft, it's no harsh lines, and it just melts down to this really light. So when her silver fades out, she will still have a really pretty balayage. And that's what I love about Redken Shades EQ, is it's a deposit only, so it's not going to lift her roots out to some funky color. It's just gonna fade really mellow and be pretty when it's gone. So this little back section that I have here, just like 1.5 inches for the main line. And then when I go through to blur this, I'll soften it a little bit down into the next inch or 1/2 inch. I really wish that I had. I'll just let this one down. And you can pull a few like little pieces down if you want to give it a little bit more depth. And I always outline my section first, and then I only have to worry about coloring the middle. See how it's already on both of those ends there? And I don't have any spots that I miss for my sectioning. And so you see where the low light naturally comes in a little bit here. That's where I'm gonna kind of pull and feather this darker base color in and blend and fade that line into that. Oh. And you want to try to work quick when you're using shades, because as soon as you mix that developer and the color together, it starts oxidizing, and that's when you want to put it on the hair. You want to put it on nice and fresh. I've seen people mix up their toners and stuff ahead of time and leave them on their shampoo bowl waiting for the color to be done processing, and it doesn't work as good. So I always mix fresh. All right, so now that I'm in the front section, I'm making sure that I leave a good amount in the very front light, and I'm only doing just a teeny bit there, and then I'm feathering downwards. I just don't want to have like this really dark piece right by her eye, so I'm being really careful about not getting it too thick around there. So just be aware of that kind of stuff. And this is always hard because on the last section, there's not really a safe place to flip over these ends. So I usually just put a foil up there and clip them to the foil to keep the ends from getting the color on them. So like you can see here, I'm trying to just do the light color on the very tips. I need to leave that there and have another one here. There we go. So now that I'm getting a little bit higher up, right by her ear, I'm kind of pulling the dark just a little bit down, but I'm leaving it right by her face lighter. So it'll create a little bit of a shadow back here by her ear. Guys, I had to take my cape off because it kept hitting the mic and making the sound bad. So if I ruin my dress, it's all because I love you guys. So there you go. So now we have these little beautiful blue spots on her face. I'm gonna make sure I wipe those off before we let her process, because Shades EQ can be a little drippy and we don't want that. And around her, check the ears and around the face, the perimeter of the face. And if you wipe it off early before it oxidates, it's usually fine. But if you wait till the end, it stains pretty bad. So now we're gonna wait 20 minutes. We're gonna set a timer. And then when that's done, we are gonna wash it, dry it, and put the next layer of color on. All right, so we are mixing up the middle color, the glaze formula, and we're doing a 9T, and I did 1.5 ounces of that, and I did a 1/2 ounce of the 9B just to bring a little bit more of a charcoaly tone in there. And then I'll mix it with 2 ounces of the processing solution, and this will go in the section right from where her roots ended, just to like the middle of her, about like the ear. And then the rest of it, I'm going to mix the 9T. I'm gonna do 1 ounce of the 9T to 1.5 ounces of the crystal clear, and then 2.5 ounces of the processing solution. So I'm using the Blonde Idol shampoo, sulfate-free shampoo, and the Blonde Idol conditioner, and I'm not loving that you have to do so many squirts for your back bar and it doesn't come up very fast. Ugh. But it's awesome stuff. Maybe the bottle's not my favorite for my back bar, but look, it's like nice and purple. We're gonna use that just to condition her really quick before we dry her again. It tones it. It's sulfate-free, it will help with fading, and she's gonna need to use something that's good like that, because if she uses a harsh shampoo on this, it won't last nearly as long. 2 ounces of developer. Okay, so now I'm gonna mix up for the lighter pieces that we're gonna put on her ends. Oh, that is all gone. That was useless, okay. I'm gonna mix up say 1/2 ounce of the 9T. Let's do, yeah, 1/2 ounce is good. To 1 ounce of the crystal clear. So that's 1.5 ounces, and then we're gonna do 1.5 ounces of the developer, so it should go to 3 ounces. Now this is what I'm going to be sticking on all of her ends. You can see now we have more of like the silvery ashy base here. And I'm just gonna part the hair again in a T-parting, 4 sections. So I'm gonna be putting that onto the ends that I wanna keep a little bit lighter. And you can see even in here, as it oxidizes, the one with the blue will be quite a bit darker than this one with the crystal clear and the titanium in it. So here we go. It's gonna get a little bit messy in here. I better put on some gloves. Now it's gonna get fun, you guys. Okay, so we have the roots that are taken care of. We're going to just blend this darker formula into the zone 2, this middle section. And it's okay if it gets on the ends because it just deposits again. And then I'm gonna take this lighter, and I only have this spatula, so, and it works fine. And I'm gonna blend these two together so that this lighter titanium will be glossed on the ends. They're gonna be a little bit lighter. And then I'm blending it down into that. Put this under so it doesn't get so messy here. And make sure that every single piece of the hair is saturated on this, because if you don't, you'll have yellow coming through, and we want all of this to be very cool and very ashy. I'm doing all of the dark on that middle piece, and then that when it lays on top of that darker piece, it has a little bit of depth in it still. So and now that this is getting thicker, I'm going to do this in 2 sections. All right, we're back to the front pieces again, and I always stop here and try to explain a little bit more because this is really important. You want to make sure that you bring a little bit down in the back by the ear, but leave some of this as the lighter blonde on the ends, and around the face I do mostly the lighter blonde. So that's it. I just wanted to give you a little tip. You want it to kind of frame lighter to the back to give it that pretty shape. See how this is a lot longer on the light section than the other piece was. And I'm doing this section right here. I'm pulling out a few chunks and doing them all the dark just to kind of give it some variation in the bottom there. All right, you guys, at this point your client might be looking in the mirror freaking out thinking, my hair is black. But just let them know that Shades EQ it's a funny color. Like when it's on the hair, it looks like way darker than it is. And as soon as you blow dry it, it is more of like an iridescent color, and you can see right through it, and it lightens up a lot. So, I mean, look at her hair right now, and then I'll show you an after when it's all done. It looks like her hair is like a level 3 or 4 brown right now, but it's definitely not. So make sure you calm their fears. We are rinsing her out finally. I was like just waiting patiently, I was actually waiting really impatiently because I was so excited to see what it was gonna look like. So I'm so excited we're rinsing it out. And I'm using the Blonde Idol shampoo and conditioner, and then I'm going to do the Blonde Idol mask, deep conditioning mask on her. And that's just gonna help seal everything in and condition it, and it's gonna actually help her color last a little bit longer. So, and that stays on the hair for like 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm gonna retone it with the Shades EQ. I did a 7T and the 7B, and I didn't add any of the crystal clear in this time. And I'm just I just blow dried the ends because that's really where I just wanted more silver to deposit. And I'm just kind of pulling it through all of her hair. I'm just gonna let it process until I see the silver amount that I want. And then we'll rinse it and then we'll dry. All right, you guys, I was just not quite as happy with the ends as I was thinking they would be more silver. So I added a little bit more silver toner on top. Now I think I like it, so we're gonna shampoo it. And I'm using cool water because I don't wanna open the cuticle and let any of this color out. And when you get home too, you need to shampoo condition with cool water anytime you're getting your hair wet. And that will help you have a longer silver ombre. All right, you guys, so we are done with the color and the tone, and I'm gonna use some BBB spray, the Blonde Idol, and just evenly spray it through her hair. And then brush it out, of course, to get all the little snarls out of there. Once we get all the tangles out, we'll put some Root Boost in her root pump, in her roots, and a little bit of Moroccan oil, and we'll blow dry, round brush it out. And now I'm ready to blow dry, so I'm gonna just put some primer in there. It's the Pillow Proof Blow Dry Primer. That's cool. I am just taking my flat iron and I'm just curling her hair. And I'm using the same technique I used in the video I did forever ago on my own hair for flat iron curls. So if you'd like to see that, we'll put a link below. But I always go like towards the back. It creates volume. See all that volume? Look how pretty. Do you love it?
Mm-hmm.
It's fun, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys. She looks fantastic with this hair. All right, you guys, we are done. This is the finished product. I hope you guys like it. It's a really subtle, natural, silvery ash ombre. And there's the front, and you can see a side-by-side of the before and after. And let me show you the back. Look how pretty her hair is now. Look at that, I love it. I hope you guys like it too. Make sure you let everyone know that Hair 101 is gonna teach you how to do hair, and subscribe, like us on Facebook, and all your wildest dreams will come true. Bye, guys. All right, I know you guys are gonna ask, so I'm just gonna throw it out there. It took me like 3.5 hours to do this. It took a long time, but it was really pretty in the end. Definitely charge more because, like you saw the video, I did a balayage, and that would have been fine if I sent her out the door with just blonde hair. But to do all that custom silver toning and stuff, that was like a whole nother color. So you would probably charge what you would charge if you colored her hair twice. So instead of like $100 for the balayage, it would probably be like $160. So keep in mind that when you're doing stuff like this, and make sure you guys just keep trying new things. Don't get scared. Put yourself out there and go for it. Okay, so once you have all your curls, you can take a brush, if they're all pulled off,